It's the very end of May and we got some fantastic elderflower in full bloom right now. So I'm going to pick some of this and see what we can do with it. Now I'm not going to pick it from here because this is right underneath the rookery, so this is plastered with bird poop, but we've got other elder trees in our woods here. In fact, this is the one I cut back last year. Okay, this also is plastered with poop on this side, but if we go around over here, yeah, this side is out of the line of fire, or I might go down there or something. Anyway, I'm going to pick some elderflowers from a clean spot and then see what we can make out of them. So what to make with these delicious elderflowers? So to me, the aroma of elderflowers is like Riesling grape, like wine made from Riesling grapes. So it's a really floral. If you think about, well, probably the most famous export of Germany made with Riesling grapes is Liebfraumilch. So if you think about the floral notes of that particular style of wine, this is what elderflowers remind me of. So what I'm going to do with these today, there is a French dessert called Clafoutis, which is fruit, usually cherries, baked in a kind of batter or custard. I'm going to make something like that today, but instead of fruit, I'm going to put some elderflowers in it and see what we end up with. This is an experiment, so, you know, it might all go horribly wrong, but join me for the exciting journey. So preparing the flowers, now if we were talking about elderberries, you could use a fork to strip the berries off the strigs, but you can't do that with the flowers. So I am just going to go over this with a pair of scissors and just give it a kind of haircut, because I don't want the green stalks, I just want the flowers. So this bit's going to be a bit laborious probably. Now these have not been washed, mainly because I think if you wash them, you just wash a lot of the flavour and aroma off of them, and also you're then dealing with a soggy mass of flowers. I did give them a very, very thorough shake when we're out in the garden to shake off any, well, hopefully most of the small wildlife that might be living on here. In terms of germs that might be on here, well, I don't think you're going to wash all of those off anyway, but also this is going to be cooked. But actually it looks like the best technique is to isolate the bunch like that and then just snip the whole bunch off. That seems to work pretty quickly. So elderflowers are quite often used to make drinks, and they're very good for making syrup. And we can make elderflower fritters. I've done that before, but I found that a little bit difficult to get right because you end up with potentially quite a greasy batter on what is a really rather delicate little flower. So I'm hoping that what we're going to do today will be just a different way of enjoying these flowers. Just checking, I can't see anything moving in there. I think I was probably pretty successful. I think it depends on a lot of factors really, whether you're going to find a lot of bugs and caterpillars and things in these elderflowers. If it's a particularly wet season, then I've found that often it's not even worth picking them because the whole of the inflorescence can be infested with aphids and caterpillars and so on. But we've had a fairly dry season, so these are flowers that are in very good condition. Now I'm not going to bother trying to weigh these because they weigh almost nothing. So I think in terms of if you're trying to follow this recipe, the volume of flowers I've got here is probably about 500 ml or a pint. So to make this, we've got the 500 ml or 1 pint of elderflowers. Got 75 grams of ground almonds, 50 grams of plain white flour, 75 grams of sugar, 3 eggs, a lemon. I'm going to use about 250 ml of this double cream. This is the 42% fat or something is double cream, the richest cream you can get. I've also got some butter and I've got a little bit of milk just in case the batter needs to be loosened up. So first thing is to butter what's this, 25 centimetre dish. We're going to generously butter this flan dish because this is a tart that doesn't have a pastry case. So we're going to use a lot of butter to make sure that it frees up properly from the rest of the, from the case, because we want to serve this as slices. Next, and this bit's best done on a tray for reasons that will become apparent, some of the ground almonds I'm just going to put some of the ground almonds in there, and we'll shake it around because I want it to stick all over the inside of the flan case like this. So this is going to form something like a crust. So there we go, we coated the inside of this flan dish with ground almonds, and a little bit I spilt can go back in there. This I might just put in the fridge while I make the batter, just to make that butter set a little bit harder and stick the ground almonds on there. Next bit's really simple. So I've got my 3 eggs in this big mixing bowl, together with the zest of a lemon. I'm not going to put the lemon juice in here, just the zest. This is an unwaxed lemon, and you could do this with a fine grater if you don't have a lemon zester. Next, the cream. This is a 300ml pot of cream. I only want about 250ml, but yeah, that's about right. And then we whisk. You could use just a fork or a balloon whisk or anything you like for that, but that does need to be really thoroughly whisked. We don't want scrambled eggs. And now, the sugar. And I probably should have done that while I had the whisk there, but anyway. And then from here, the other dry ingredients go in. So the flour, the ground almonds. Okay, and I don't think we're going to need any extra milk. So we're looking for, you know, a pancake batter type of consistency. So we're just going to let that sit for 10 minutes. So that's it. The oven's up to temperature now, and this batter has just thickened that little bit more. I've retrieved my tart dish from the fridge, and now just going to place these elderflowers in the dish like this and try and distribute them as evenly as possible. And then the batter I'm going to pour over the top of the flowers, attempting to saturate them completely. I think we're good. Let's have every little drop of that lovely, creamy, rich batter out of the bowl. Okay, and then in case there's any that are still sticking up, I don't want them to burn, so we're just going to move the batter around just to make sure that nothing's sticking up out of the liquid. That now goes into the preheated oven for 20 to 25 minutes. It will cook from the outside in, it'll kind of puff up, and when it's completely golden and puffed and domed, that's when we know it's done. Perfect. Okay, we're going to leave that here to cool down. It will, when it cools down, in fact you can probably see it happening already, it will sink. It's very puffed up, it's souffled at the moment. It will sink down a little bit. I'm not very certain that what we've got here is going to be very much like Clafoutis, because there's no fresh fruit in here, so all of the juices that would normally contribute to it being quite moist and custardy aren't there. So I think we may have ended up with something that's a little bit more like a cake here, but I can tell you it smells good. I'm tempted to drizzle it with a little bit of lemon juice, but I think we'll taste it without first, because I can always make a lemon drizzle and we can drizzle it at the table. So here we go. This is the I've already tasted a bit, and yeah, it's midway between a cake and a custard. They're like a custard tart, but also a bit like a cake. And you can taste the elderflowers, although they're not the kind of fresh, fruity elderflower flavour. The sweetness is there. Yeah, I'm actually quite happy with that. I think it probably could do with a bit more lemon. So next time, we'll probably put a lemon drizzle over the top. So thoughts on this elderflower? I hesitate to call this elderflower Clafoutis because it's just such a departure from the real thing, but that's what it's based on. This bit of the video was filmed later, by the way. I think it needs one more flavour. I think it needs a lemon drizzle or maybe some kind of fruit in there. I was going to put a bit of rhubarb in there, but I just didn't. So I think it needs one more flavour, a little bit of fruit, a little bit of fruit juice, something like that. And maybe not in it so much as just served with it. But as experimental recipes go, and considering this is version 1, it's not bad. But yeah, I think it just needs something else. So we're going to have it with some strawberries and a bit of Greek yogurt. So let's see what that's like. It's good like that. The extra acidity of the yogurt and the strawberries I think really helps. But yeah, I think it just needed one more flavour. So there we go. That was my experimental elderflower clafoutis. I hope that's been interesting. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.